one of the things we need to do is to be able to figure out how to convert from arc length into circle size or angle size from an arc length. The formula that we're given for these types of problems says that the size of the angle, theta, which is always in radians, is the ratio of the intercepted length to the radius. So in this case, we would take 18.7. Where'd my calculator go? Oh, must have closed it. 18.9 divided by the radius, 10.4. And then the arc length would be 1.82 radians. Next one. How long is the arc that is intercepted by the central angle of? So now we're given the central angle and we're supposed to find the arc length. Well, the angle size is 158 degrees. 156.8 degrees. We have to switch that into radians first because our problem only works if it's in radians. So we would say that many degrees is to 180 degrees, as we want to know how many radians that would be to pi, or how many 180 degrees would be to pi radians. So on our calculator, we would take 156.8 times pi divided by 180. That's how many radians we would have. But then it says the radius of the circle is 14.2 centimeters. So we'll take our theta is S divided by R, or in this case, we multiply by R to get S. So times 14.2, and we get 38.9 centimeters. Next one. This is kind of an interesting problem. It says the radius of the Earth is 3960 miles. Use the diagram below to answer the following questions. So find the latitude of a city that is 1270 miles north of the equator. So what we can do, of course, is we could find out how many radians that would be. It's 1270 over the radius, 3960, but that'll be in radians, and then we have to take that number of radians. Well, there's 2 pi radians in a 180 degrees, so we'll take that number, multiply by 180, and divide by, oops, not 2 pi, divide by pi. Okay. So we'll take 1270 divided by 3960. That's the number of radians it is. Multiply that by 180 and divide it by pi, and we find it is about 18 degrees north latitude. The other one that I wanted to show you is, I gotta find it now, is we can figure out where how far north Eau Claire is from the equator. So if you notice here, it says it is 44 degrees, 47 minutes, 50.45 north. Okay, so we know how many degrees it is, but remember, we have to take our degrees and convert them to radians. And so we know that 180 degrees is pi radians. Oops. And so we'll take that number of degrees times pi divided by 180. So 44 degrees. Oops. 44 degrees. 47 minutes. And 50.45 seconds, which remember that's alpha plus seconds, times pi, and divide that by 180, tells us that Eau Claire is 78 or 0.781 radians north of the equator. So now we can use our formula that says theta is the distance north divided by the radius, or in other words, if we multiply that by the radius of the Earth, we'll get how far north we are. So times 3960 says that we are 3,096 miles north of the equator. And then the other one that I wanted to show you is, here is the distance from the equator that a certain town is, 2,587 miles north of the equator. So now we know the miles and we know the radius. So we'll take the miles divided by the radius on our calculator. Oops, let's use the other calculator. Oops. Miles is 2,587 miles divided by, we said the distance on the Earth is 3960. So we get 0.6538328 radians. So we know how many radians there are. We have to multiply by 180 and divide by pi. So times 180 divided by pi, and we get 43 degrees north, 43.26 degrees north. I guess since we had 4 sig figs, we'd have 4 sig figs in our answer also. And that takes care of that lesson.